So the Family Violence Prevention Program, we provide a variety of advocacy and supportive services to victims and survivors of domestic and sexual violence. We serve anyone regardless of their race, ethnic background, sexual orientation. We provide services to anyone and everyone. And I would encourage, anyone that has been impacted by sexual violence to contact our office if they're looking for opportunities and resources for support. If they're, and really it doesn't matter if they're victimization, and certainly there are certain things we can do if someone has a very recent victimization. Or if, we have women that come to us who were victimized as children and who now are adults. And so definitely what we want to be able to do is to provide that support to address the safety issues and concerns that they have, link them up with counseling services, with support services, and really any other kind of resource that they are needing that they feel like would be helpful to them to address their safety and emotional and physical well-being. There are a variety of misconceptions when it comes to sexual violence, and I think some of the most common that we see in our work and definitely within society are ways that blame victims of sexual violence and bring attention to if someone is drinking, what they're wearing, their behavior, in some way justifying the sexual violence that has occurred, when in reality there's nothing that anyone could do that would justify sexual violence. The statistics for sexual violence regarding Native women, generally we're hearing, and these are Department of Justice statistics, that more than 1 in 3 Native women will be raped in their lifetime. The reality is that research, I think, to adequately show us the reality of sexual violence is lacking. Research pertaining specifically to Native people, and a lot of times the research that is conducted is maybe done so on reservation populations. So while the statistics itself are alarming, more than 1 in 3, that's alarming, but I still don't think it adequately represents what, the high rates of sexual violence that are being committed against our women. I think the lack of reporting is due to a number of factors, but some of the major factors are people not feeling like they're going to be believed, feeling like they're going to be blamed, and that they in some way contributed to or were responsible for their victimization. I think that there's certainly a distrust in the systems, whether that be law enforcement, the criminal justice system. Definitely those fears, I think, prevent people from reporting. And certainly fear, if someone has been threatened, that more harm will come to them, if they report to law enforcement, or if they are from, a small, a rural community, a tribal community, or depending who the perpetrator of violence was, can definitely create a lot of concerns for someone, retaliation, again, ongoing fear for their safety. And so certainly, I think those reasons are what we see most often for the lack of reporting. And to be quite honest, in the work that we do, we are completely understanding of why people don't want to report, because we see the victim blaming in the systems and see how victims of sexual violence are so often scrutinized again for their behavior and held responsible on many levels for their victimization. And so, yeah. I think so often, and again with the work that we do, we encounter a very high rate of women who have not only been victimized as adults, but who were victimized as children, who experienced child sexual abuse. And so maybe they disclosed what happened to them as a child. I encounter many women who never told anyone, so there's like a history of victimizations throughout their lifetime. And I think so many people feel like they're all alone and that they're the only one that this has happened to and no one else will understand. And so a lot of times they can stay stuck and not have the opportunity to heal from what's happened to them. And we do not ever expect for people to come and, that they have to share their story. Mainly what we want people to know is that they're not alone, that there is support out there, and that they can heal and be able to move forward, in their life. And so that's part of too with our program and creating the monthly support groups that we're doing, really is to bring women together to create a culture, a community of support for one another, where we have support, survivors that are supporting one another and their experiences. And that's really, really empowering, very powerful for women, so they know that they're not alone in their experience. So in order to increase our services in response to survivors of sexual violence, our program, Family Violence Prevention, and the Department of Health partnered about 2 years ago to establish our tribe's first sexual assault nurse examiner program. So, and what that means is that now our tribe has specially trained nurses that can respond 24/7 to either the Okmulgee or the Okemah Hospital to be able to conduct exams for survivors and victims of sexual violence. They have very specialized training. Our on-call advocate and the on-call nurse respond collaboratively, and then our advocate is there to provide that support during the exam, and then also the short or long-term support and services after the exam. So that is, I always hate to say, I'm excited that we have this service, but the reality is that our citizens or people in this area were often having to travel to Tulsa, to Mvskoke, even to Ada or Shawnee to receive these services. And so I am thankful that we have these within our community, and they're being provided by our tribe and our tribal resources for those that need it.